Hello there, dear friends. Evolutionary Energy Arts, EEARTS, and Hearts Home family.
Hello, Hearts Home family, primarily, yes.
As this one is going up on Hearts Home, and as always, guys, do check in daily to all or each one of the channels that you are drawn to. Let's put it that way. And we are so glad you are here. Thank you for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. We couldn't do it without your support over there. So we want to talk about Sri Anandamayi, and she is one of our main guides. She has kind of stepped into the role of being, I would say, our most prominent guide, if not, one of the few of the most prominent guides.
Definitely, and she's such an amazing healer. So anyone who is doing some kind of healing work, if you would want to bring her in as a guide, you'd want to bring her in, feel her energy, see the effectiveness, and then ask her to be a guide or invite her to be a guide. She will really, really help you, and she will bring you great wisdom, and she will bring you information that is just going to really, really warm your heart.
So just give you a little background on her. This is from Vedic feed. Sri Anandamayi, her name in translation from Sanskrit means mother imbued with bliss. Her devotees consider her to be the embodiment of the goddess Devi. Mahatma Gandhi, Nehru, and Indira Gandhi all treated her with the deepest respect and love. Swami Sivananda called her the purest flower that ever appeared in the land of India.
Isn't that beautiful? That's like something that really, I like that word, embodiment of the goddess. I mean, when you sit with these words and you sit with this energy, it's like you are that flower that's blooming. You don't have to do anything special. A flower does not toot its own horn about how pretty it is. It just sits there and it holds the beauty, and that's what she does. She just not enough vocabulary words to describe the beauty of this being.
Yes, thinking about her, it just kind of, you feel your heart starting to overflow. One of God's names is love. He himself resides within all at every moment, everywhere. And for many of us, that's just an obvious statement, but unfortunately for the mass of the world, they don't understand that. The early life of Sri Anandamayi, she was born in a small, predominantly Muslim village of Kiora in East Bengal on the 30th of April, 1896. Her parents were Brahmanas, poor but very pious. Before the birth of Anandamayi, her mother often saw different deities in her dreams, and when her daughter was born, she named her Nirmala Sundari, which means flawless beauty. From the time of her birth, she was fully aware of her surroundings. People called her the mother of smiles, Hasima, or happy mother, Kusima, from an early age. At birth, she did not cry, and throughout her childhood, she was extremely calm and peaceful. From time to time, she would enter trance states, apparently experiencing samadhi, which is free from thoughts of absorption in God. She spoke with love for plants and invisible heavenly beings. She loved all the creatures of Mother Nature, did not eat meat or fish. She spent only 2 years in elementary school. In life, she was distinguished by a sharp mind, good memory, and skill in performing various tasks. All that without much official schooling, which
Right.
Again, the whole system is something that is more of a hindrance than a help. In the 13th year, Anandamayi was married to a pleasant young man named Bolanath, yes, Ramani Mohan Chavrati. Since he did not have a permanent job and often had to travel, she stayed in her parents' house for another year. Later, she lived with his older brother and sister-in-law for another 4 years. New relatives were fascinated by her friendliness and humility, as well as how deftly and easily she coped with household chores. Sometimes during these duties performance, she fell into a trance, plunged into samadhi. Relatives attributed it to an extreme degree of lack of sleep. When she turned 18, she moved to live with her husband in Astagram in East Bengal. They never had a marital relationship. Once Bolant approached Ma intending to fulfill his marital duty, a powerful electric shock pierced his body. He took it as a sign that the time had not yet come. Then in Astagram, the brother of the apartment owner began to treat Ma as a spiritual eminence, mother and saint. Around this time, one of his friends also prostrates Ma, calling her the goddess Durga. One evening during public kirtan, Ma went into deep trance, which further strengthened people's opinion of her extraordinary spiritual abilities. When she turned 20, she became seriously ill and returned home to her parents. Around this time in 1916, it was revealed to her, "You are everything." She realized that the whole universe is my own manifestation. I met directly with the one manifested as multiple. She realized her divine essence manifested in all that exists. She often had visions of different forms of God. She practically ignored her body. She moved to live with her husband 2 years later in Bajipur, and this is still in East Bengal. During this period, she began to engage in spiritual practices and spontaneous yogic manifestations. When she was 21 years old, her period stopped forever. She could not do housework either because she constantly fell into religious ecstasy. Her husband was offered to marry again. He refused as he hoped that such a state of his wife was temporary. But when he realized that such a state of his wife would never end since his wife is a saint, he became her first student in December 1922 when she was 26 years old. Then this is a spiritual journey of Sri Anandamayi. Anandamayi never aspired to teach. She did not have a guru, and she never turned to the scriptures and books on yoga. Her inner guidance itself manifested ancient Sanskrit texts and Sanskrit mantras that she had never heard of before, as well as images of various aspects of God. Her body took on challenging Hatha Yoga asanas, inaccessible to ordinary people, and not having many years of hard training. When asked who her teacher was, she answered, "You are Shakti." It's divine power. One day on August 3rd, 1922, the inner Shakti directed her to perform a ritual of self-initiation. She herself played the roles of both guru and disciple, reciting a sacred bija mantra, which she then continued to repeat for some time. Bija means seed. Little time passed, and Ma again went against tradition, personally giving mantra initiations to her husband and then plunging him into the deepest trance for 2 hours. During her initiation, Ma strictly followed the precepts of the ancient texts, even though she never studied them. She announced to Blolanth and the famous astrologer scientist that she was an incarnation of God, Purna Brahma Narayana. During this startling statement, she shone with extraordinary light. Ma's spiritual strength grew more and more. She often enjoyed the visions of various forms of God, realizing her complete identity with their existence. She ignored her body, practically did not eat anything, and hardly slept. Yeah, it is said that she really went extreme periods without any sort of food or even water, and was just fine and also able to do miraculous healings. So after the initiation of her husband, she sank into silence for 3 years, only occasionally interrupting it to comfort someone in grief or to convey some urgent message. Towards the end of this period, they moved to Dhaka, where her husband worked as manager of Shah Bagh Gardens. There were rumors that Ma was a saint. During her life in Shah Bagh, Ma often immersed herself in samadhi. Its duration sometimes reached 12 hours. During these periods of absorption in God, due to the inner intensity of the divine consciousness manifesting through her, her face became almost crimson. Still, at the same time, every cell of her body glowed with an unearthly light. In Siddheshwari, the sacred site of the forest of Dhaka, Ma found an ancient, abandoned, and an almost completely inaccessible temple dedicated to the goddess Kali. Beginning in September 1924, she often stayed there overnight, and in 1928 an ashram was built for her there. A year later, a larger ashram was built in Ramna as the number of people who wanted to see Ma grew steadily. These were the first two of several dozen ashrams built by Ma followers throughout India. In October 1925, she ended her silence, began talking to people who came to her little home to take darshan, to see her. There were many Muslims among her visitors. Some innumerable people would come to Ma for healing. To heal others, she inflicted wounds on her body or took on the suffering of others. One night, Ma, on pilgrimage to holy places, saved the life of Jyotish Chandra Roy, later known as Baiji, brother. Baiji persuaded Blothana to give her the name Anandamayi Ma, which means mother full of bliss. He wrote an early biography of Ma, which contains an accurate description of her mystic states and Ma's personal stories about the internal processes taking place in her. Baji became the main confidant and protector of Ma and her husband to the public. He has also been the initiator and organizer of annual celebrations of her birthday, which made it possible for countless admirers to gather and spend days or even weeks in spiritual unity and joyful communication. She possessed the siddhis, which are supernatural powers, but for her they were not the goal, but they were just a side effect of the practices. The main meaning of Anandamayi Ma's life was the realization of God and helping people who turned to her. She helped seekers find the path to God and awakened in them the desire for spiritual life, conveying the idea that God dwells inside each person, and the whole world is a divine creation in His play. In 1932, she moved with her husband to Dehradun, and the number of her followers grew rapidly. In 1933, the wife of India's future Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru, visited her through Mahatma Gandhi, and he learned about Anandamayi Ma, who also began to visit her. Indira Gandhi also visited her and treated her with the greatest respect. From that time until her Mahasamadhi, she traveled across all of India, not being in one place for more than 2 weeks. Not only ordinary people, but also sages and representatives of the authorities, celebrities, and scientists revered her as the embodiment of the Divine Mother, and came to worship her. By her 70s, her devotees numbered in the millions, including thousands from the West. To her, surprisingly attracted not only people, but also stray dogs, goats, and snakes even. Her unconditional love also extended to flowers and various plants, and she definitely felt what they needed. Till the end of her days, despite her advanced age, Anandamayi Ma continued to travel throughout India and give teachings, remaining, according to her followers, a flying bird. On August 27, 1982, Anandamayi Ma, immersed in Mahasamadhi, left her body in the city of Dehradun. Indira Gandhi and many people came to her funeral from all over the world. A white marble temple, Samadhi temple, was erected at the burial site of the body of the great saint, which is now a sacred place for the spiritually seeking people.
And this is so wonderful and so beautiful, and we have a very, very nice surprise. Many times when we do focus on these beings, we can get lucky and they will just show up. And I can tell you guys now to really tune into this video, because she is here. Her energy is channeling through us. So I just want to do a little bit of energy work, just sort of off the cuff with Mike and I, and she's going to be tuning in. She's going to be sending her energy through us, and you guys are going to feel a lot of it because you're tuning into it. So if you could just give us, a little bit.
And Cindy's going to grab a tuning fork to help with the process.
You're not going to hear it, but it's a weighted tuning fork, and just focus in for, 60 seconds to 2 minutes, and you're probably already feeling a lot of tingling already. She says what she's working on now is she's working on expanding the heart chakra through us into you guys. And when these beings work through human forms, other human forms, their energy is easier able to get to you in this 3D realm. So keep focusing in on this. Understand that you are probably going to have a lot of blocks removed from the heart chakra with this energy, and this is the energy that's unfolding in your life. So things that are happening now, listening to this video, are going to bloom like a flower in your life. She also wants me to let you guys know that she is just a call away. To call in her energy is very simple, and we are going to go over a mantra for that at the end. While we are finishing up, I just want you guys to realize when there is expansion in the heart chakra, a lot of times things that we were not able to process in our life do come back to see us. So you have a chance to do it again. And when you process this information and the blocks are removed, you have a whole new, more beautiful perspective on life, and things just change so much for the better.
And as Cindy and I were saying, she is one of our main guides. So she works with us on a daily basis. She works through us on a daily basis. And absolutely, just an amazing light. The seed of Source lies within all humans. And it's just a matter of letting it grow. You must water that seed and let it grow. Expose it to the light, the sun, the teachings, taking the time to go within and connect. Allowing oneself to be led by one's guides and the great teachers, as you see her here with her husband and also with Paramahamsa Yogananda. These are some of her words. Egoless works, full of beauty, for it is not prompted by a desire for self-gratification. So long as the knots that constitute the ego are not unraveled, even though you intend to act impersonally, you will get hurt. Your selfishness less will also be seen in the expression of your eyes and face, and be apparent in your entire being. Again, this is where you cannot hide energy. You really cannot hide it. So feel into it. When by the flood of your tears the inner and the outer have fused into one, you will find her whom you sought with such anguish nearer than the nearest, the very breath of life, the very core of every heart. Lose yourself altogether when bowing down to God with a single-minded devotion, and you will obtain joy and power in proportion. If you cannot do anything else, at least morning and evening at the appointed time, lay down your body, mind, and life before Him in salutation and surrender, and think of Him just a little. This is at the core of the Sanatana Dharma. The key difference, again, when you do go through and you read the Upanishads, you read the Vedas, you read the Puranas, you read all these holy scriptures, you'll notice that there is such a similar vibe to some of the best that we find out of the Abrahamic tradition. There is a similar vibe. The difference is that here it's acknowledged that that particular creative aspect is within all of us. And so there's no need to really go anywhere but within. It's going within. That's the key. You find God, you find source within you. You are one with God. You are one with source. It's just you have to come to that realization. So long as one believes that true happiness can be had in this world without searching within, one will remain in bondage. Absolutely. Who am I? That's the big question. The realization of this is the purpose of human life. Self-realization. In order to find yourself, progress along your own path, in your own rhythm. Yes, there's not one dogma. There's not one way. Each individual is an individual because that is the way that Source intends it. Where God may place you at any time and under whatever circumstances, recollect that it is all for the best. Endeavor to go through your life, leaving your burdens in His hands. He is the preserver. He is the guide. He is all in all. In water and on land, in trees and shrubs and creepers, everywhere in the whole universe abides my beloved. Further, all the various forms and modes of being that we behold, are they not all expressions of my beloved? For there is none save Him. He is smaller than the smallest and greater than the greatest. And this is again where you can see Source, God, in everything from the ant to the bird, most certainly in your loved ones, in your pets, and everywhere you want to look. She herself is the supreme refuge of every sentient being. And again, the mother, the father, it's so simple. It goes back to, many indigenous traditions. Father Sky, Mother Earth.
And, I have noticed when it comes to Mother Nature, and if you spend some time simply admiring Mother Nature in a way where you look at the flowers, you look at the color, you look at the patterns on a flower or patterns on a butterfly or a moth, and just take that in, take that energy in. You know what? Every day that I do that, that makes that day a little bit sweeter. It is so tangible when you take the time to spend with Mother Nature in awe of what she can do. It reflects back to you. And I think that's what we are trying to bring about, is understanding that the energy you put out is the energy that returns to you.
The grace of the Guru always pours down on you, but you must have mercy upon yourself so that you may realize this. If your cup is turned upside down, how can anything be caught inside it? Absolutely. So don't fixate on your faults. Just move past them. Acknowledge and release. There's that meditative technique, whereas if something keeps coming up in your mind, you don't try to suppress it. You can visualize it. You can see that you're watching a river. Take whatever it is, put it on a boat, watch it drift down the river, watch it go bye-bye. Let it go. Human beings have to be dwellers of the inner cave so that the Supreme Being who resides within may be revealed. And if we're not working on our inner self, how are we getting anywhere? If you don't take time to work on yourself, you're never going to get anywhere. Going just on a obligatory Sunday and listening to some words, shaking a few hands, giving some money, it doesn't really connect you to Source. It doesn't connect you to yourself. It doesn't do. You need to take the time to go within. In real vision, there is no such thing as the seer and the seen. It's the eyeless. And then we go even deeper. Again, we go back to one of God's names is love. He himself resides within all, at every moment, everywhere. It's obvious. If Source, God, the true creator, is omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent, there could be no other way. It could be no other way. And also that wouldn't be limited to any sort of male only or female only aspect. Of course, that which can be named is not the Tao. And again, this is what we learn when we start looking at all the different traditions. We start to be able to see a much clearer picture of unity. So a simple way to reach Anandamayi is just simply Namo Nama Anandamayi. Namo Nama Anandamayi. It just rolls so smoothly. Namo Nama Anandamayi.
Namo Nama Nam. I always did that, you guys. I gotta love it. She has a sense of humor too. Namo Nama Anandamayi. She's really wonderful, and I hope that you guys call her into your heart, into your life. Allow her to bring your expansion. She's an amazing being, and I can tell you that the information that's portrayed is there for our understanding. It's something like if you read her energy and you look inside of her energy, all of these things that were read are very true. She just simply was. She didn't have to do anything. She was reading her own DNA to bring these energies about. And we all can do that. It's just very, very deep inside of us. And she was very, very special. So to call that energy in is really advantageous to you, especially if you're doing healing work.
Yes, and Cindy shared that one mantra that she particularly loved was Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu, which means may all beings everywhere be happy and free, and my actions, thoughts, and deeds contribute to all beings' freedom. And this is so key. This is so key. If we hold that in our hearts, so shall it be.
Indeed.
Much love. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.